The starship Celestial Harmony moved through the silent black of space like a silver arrow. Its long wings glowed faintly with blue light, and thousands of tiny windows sparkled along its sides. Inside those windows, dozens of alien species lived and worked together. The ship was not a warship nor a freighter. It was a vessel of peace, built by the Council of Many Worlds, a gathering of civilizations that believed in diplomacy, trade, and shared knowledge. On this voyage, however, peace seemed very far away. The Celestial Harmony had been called to the mining world of Valkar, a small planet on the edge of known space. Valkar was rich in minerals, and several alien companies had built colonies there to harvest its rare metals. For many years the work went smoothly, but 1 week ago everything changed. A machine intelligence left behind from an older war had awakened beneath the planet's crust. At first it sent only probes, then it sent drones. Then it unleashed entire armies of metal creatures that struck the colonies without mercy. The colonists called for help. First came rescue teams from neighboring planets. They tried to fight, but the machines were too many, too fast, and too ruthless. Dozens of rescuers were lost. Some ships never returned, and so the Council itself sent the Celestial Harmony, not to fight but to observe and to coordinate new rescue efforts. The alien crew was anxious. They had all heard rumors about the machines. Some feared that Valkar would soon become a dead world, another scar of ancient wars. Others whispered that even the Council might not be able to stop this threat. But then came a message that made everyone pause. Humans were coming. The word passed through the corridors like a spark. Engineers whispered about it in the engine room. Medics discussed it in the infirmary. Diplomats raised their brows and traded uneasy glances. Few on the Celestial Harmony had ever met humans in person. Many had only heard the stories. Half legend, half warning humans, the Death Worlders. They came from a planet of storms, volcanoes, and predators. Their history was filled with wars, disasters, and survival against impossible odds. Where other species struggled to live in gentle environments, humans thrived in chaos. To many aliens, they seemed reckless, even dangerous. Yet to others, they were fascinating. A species that could not be broken no matter the challenge. And now a small group of these humans had volunteered to go down to Valkar. Their goal, to rescue trapped colonists and push back against the machine forces long enough to open safe corridors. On the command deck of the Celestial Harmony, Captain Saran, a tall reptilian being with scales the color of jade, stood watching the main view screen. The planet of Valkar turned slowly below. Smoke trails rose from its surface like black scars, and the ruins of half-destroyed colonies glittered faintly under the red sun. Behind Saran, officers and advisors spoke quietly. "Captain," said Orali, a scholar with skin like flowing glass, "is it true that the humans insisted on joining the mission?" "Yes," Saran answered, his voice calm but heavy. "The Council did not ask them. They offered themselves, and it seems the colonists welcomed their help." Another officer, a feathered diplomat named Aural, let out a sharp sound of concern. "This is madness. We have already lost so many lives. Sending Death Worlders will only bring more destruction. They are unpredictable." Saran turned his head slowly, his green eyes shining. "Unpredictable, yes. But that is why the colonists trust them. Where we see only danger, humans see a way forward. It is a trait we cannot ignore." The crew fell silent. Hours later, the human transport arrived. It was not a sleek, shining ship like those of the Council. It was a rugged craft, built more for strength than beauty. Its hull bore scratches and burns from past battles. Its engines roared like wild animals as it slowed into orbit. To some of the aliens, it looked like a relic. To others, it looked terrifying. The docking process was tense. Many aliens gathered at the observation deck, watching as the human ship locked onto the Celestial Harmony. The airlocks hissed. Metal groaned. Then the doors opened. The humans stepped through. There were 10 of them, dressed in heavy armor suits marked with strange symbols. Their helmets were off and their faces were bare, faces full of sharp lines, scars, and eyes that seemed to burn with inner fire. They did not walk with the calm grace of diplomats. They marched with purpose, each step echoing in the quiet hall. The aliens whispered among themselves. "Too tall," one muttered. "Look at their eyes," another said softly. "They do not fear," whispered a third. At the front of the human team was Commander Hayes, a man with hair touched by gray and a voice that carried across the chamber. He spoke in simple, direct words. "We came because people are trapped down there. We're not leaving until they're safe. Whatever it takes." Some aliens shivered. The tone was not boastful nor cruel. It was steady like a hammer striking iron. Captain Saran stepped forward to greet them. "Commander Hayes, the situation below is severe. Our own rescue teams were unable to endure. The machines are without mercy. I must ask, do you truly believe your people can succeed where so many others failed?" Hayes did not hesitate. His eyes were firm. "We'll succeed because we have to. If there's even one survivor, we'll find them. If there's one chance, we'll take it. That's what we do." Behind him, the other humans nodded. Not one of them looked uncertain. The aliens exchanged uneasy glances. To them, the human words sounded less like hope and more like a vow written in stone. Later, in the grand hall of the ship, a meeting was held. Holographic maps of Valkar appeared in the air. Flames marked destroyed colonies. Red lights showed enemy strongholds. The aliens explained what had been tried and why every attempt had failed. The machines adapted too quickly. They had no fear, no hesitation. Every strike was calculated, every move perfect. Commander Hayes studied the maps carefully. He listened, asked questions, and spoke little. But when the explanations ended, he smiled faintly. "Machines don't know fear," he said. "That's true. But they don't know courage either. That's where we come in." Some aliens frowned, not understanding. Others leaned forward, curious. One of the younger aliens, a small creature with silver fur, finally asked, "But what if you cannot win? What if the machines are stronger?" Hayes glanced at his team, then back at the alien. "Then we make sure we don't lose. There's a difference." The room fell into silence once more. For the aliens of the Celestial Harmony, this was the first true encounter with Deathworlders. And even before the mission began, they were beginning to see it. The strange, unsettling strength that set humans apart. It was not their size, nor their weapons, nor their scars. It was the fire in their voices, the calm in their eyes, and the way they spoke as if failure itself was just another obstacle to overcome. Outside the ship, Valkar burned. Inside, preparations began. And across the many alien hearts watching, one thought echoed again and again. What would these humans do when they faced the machines below? The surface of Valkar was nothing like the humans had expected. From orbit, it had seemed calm, red dust swirling over jagged mountains, a faint blue haze around some valleys. But as the humans' drop pods pierced the atmosphere and touched the ground, the truth revealed itself. Smoke rose in thick columns from dozens of burning settlements. The scent of scorched metal and molten rock filled the air. Commander Hayes looked down at the colony below, his face calm but his eyes sharp. Around him, his team of Deathworlders prepared their gear. Each one had a specialized task. Some were engineers, others medics, and some simply carried weapons designed for the unknown dangers of hostile worlds. They moved with the confidence of people who had survived far worse than this. The first step was always observation. The humans spread out quickly, scanning the terrain with sensors built into their armor. Small drones lifted off from their packs, buzzing over the ruins and mapping the enemy positions. The machines, cold, precise, and relentless, had set up patrols and automated defenses. Many were large, towering constructs, moving in ways that made it clear they had been designed to kill. Saran and his crew on the Celestial Harmony watched everything from orbit. The alien scientists had explained how dangerous Valkar had become, but seeing humans move into the smoke-choked ruins in real time was almost unbelievable. The Deathworlders did not hesitate. They did not hesitate at falling debris, collapsing walls, or the endless waves of drones. They simply adapted, stepped forward, and continued their mission. "Look at them," muttered Arali, the glass-skinned scholar. "They walk into chaos as if it were a garden." Errol, the feathered diplomat, shivered. "It is frightening. They do not fear death. No species we know does this willingly." Hayes signaled his team to split into 3 groups. Each group had a separate route to reach trapped colonists. Their orders were simple but deadly. Find survivors, protect them, and fight any machine that blocked the way. The first encounter came almost immediately. A squad of drones appeared, sleek and metallic, their glowing red eyes scanning for movement. Other rescue teams would have paused, calculated, or even retreated. But not the humans. Hayes raised his hand. With a single nod, his team moved like a shadow storm. They used the terrain, rocks, smoke, and fallen structures to their advantage. They threw small devices that emitted pulses, confusing the drone's sensors. Then they advanced, each movement precise, each strike calculated. The machines fell one by one, though not without difficulty. The aliens watching from above could hardly believe the coordination. Even the engineers were involved. One human, a young woman named Rena, crawled under a collapsed beam while carrying a heavy toolkit. She reached the control node of a nearby drone, and with a few quick adjustments turned it against its companions. The machine instantly turned, attacking other drones instead of humans. The aliens whispered in awe. "They are smart," O'Rahilly said wide-eyed. "More than we expected." The humans did not pause. The team that went to the Southern Valley found a group of colonists trapped under the rubble of a partially destroyed building. Walls leaned precariously and smoke made it hard to breathe. Most aliens would have called for backup, but Hayes's squad moved with quiet efficiency. Hayes lifted a heavy beam with a simple mechanical device, clearing the path. Another human applied a small portable cutting tool to free a trapped colonist's leg. When a drone approached, one of the medics threw a smoke grenade, obscuring their movement while others neutralized the threat. The rescued colonists stared at the humans in awe. Many could not believe anyone could move through such danger so calmly, so quickly. Children clung to their parents, watching the Death Worlders like heroes from stories. Meanwhile, in another part of the colony, the second human squad encountered a larger machine, far taller and more heavily armored than the ones in the valley. Its limbs moved like pistons, and its glowing sensors scanned the area relentlessly. The aliens on the Celestial Harmony watched as the human team faced it. At first, the humans seemed small against such a machine, their weapons tiny in comparison. But they did not run. Instead, they coordinated silently, using the environment to distract it. They triggered small collapses of rock, making the machine step aside or stumble. Then they attacked weak points the aliens had not even noticed: joints, vents, and exposed circuits. After tense minutes, the machine fell. Smoke rose from its broken frame, and the humans moved on as if it were a minor obstacle. Saran turned to O'Rahilly. "This is not luck," he said. "They are something else. They fight like nothing we have ever seen. They do not panic. They adapt faster than any species I have studied." O'Rahilly nodded, her eyes wide. "They are terrifying and inspiring." Even the colonists noticed. One miner, an older human from Earth who had settled on Valkar years ago, whispered in disbelief. "I've read about humans like this, but I never believed it could be true. They survive when no one else would. They protect when no one else dares." The humans kept moving. They split and regrouped, moving in patterns that seemed chaotic to the aliens watching but were perfectly coordinated. Smoke, fire, and falling debris did not slow them. Some carried injured colonists on their backs. Others repaired broken structures just enough to allow escape. Time passed, but the humans showed no sign of fatigue. They joked quietly with each other, even under fire, lifting spirits and calming frightened colonists. Their courage seemed endless, their energy inexhaustible. Then came the first major surprise. One of the humans' drones detected a hidden network of enemy machines, a tunnel system deep under the surface. These machines were unlike any seen before, fast, intelligent, and ready to ambush. Most species would have retreated, but Hayes smiled. "Everyone in position," he ordered. "We go underground." The aliens on the Celestial Harmony watched silently as the humans disappeared into the tunnels. Moments later, flashes of light, the sound of explosions, and bursts of smoke came through the drone feed. Every move the humans made was calculated and daring. They set traps, lured machines into confined spaces, and fought like they were in a deadly dance. Hours passed. The humans faced ambush after ambush, but they never stopped. They communicated with each other using small hand signals, whispers, and subtle gestures. Every member knew the other's moves before they happened. By nightfall, the humans had cleared several key areas. Colonists were safe, machines destroyed or disabled, and escape routes established. The aliens on the ship felt a mix of awe and disbelief. They had seen many species face danger, but never like this. Never with such courage, skill, and unwavering determination. Saran spoke quietly to Errol and O'Rahilly. "We underestimated them. All of us, these humans. They are not just survivors. They are something more. Something we cannot fully understand yet cannot ignore." The humans gathered for a short rest. Some cleaned their weapons. Others checked the colonists. Even then, no one complained. Even then, their eyes shone with quiet determination. They were ready to continue to push further, to face the dangers that awaited in the heart of Valkar's chaos. And from orbit, the aliens could see the spark that made humans unique. Not strength, not weapons, but the courage to face impossible odds and the will to protect life even when the world itself seemed lost. They were Deathworlders. And now the galaxy would remember why. The tunnels beneath Valkar were dark, narrow, and unstable. Smoke and dust from the ruined colonies above still crept into the labyrinth, making the air thick and heavy. The humans moved carefully yet quickly, their armor glowing faintly in the dim light, casting moving shadows against the jagged walls. Commander Hayes led the way, his eyes scanning every corner. Behind him, his team of Deathworlders followed in silence, each aware that the slightest mistake could be fatal. From orbit, the aliens on the Celestial Harmony watched with bated breath. The tunnel network was more complex than anyone had expected. Some corridors twisted in impossible angles. Others opened suddenly into cavernous chambers filled with machinery and fire. Even the Council's most advanced scanners had struggled to map the underground system. And yet the humans navigated it like they were born there. "This is incredible," Orali whispered to Captain Saran. "They move through an unknown labyrinth, under extreme danger, and they never hesitate." "How do they do it?" Saran shook his head slowly. "They see possibilities where others see only walls. That is the difference." Below, the humans encountered the first major underground threat. A massive machine, larger than anything on the surface, stood in the center of a cavern. Its limbs were heavy, hydraulic, and bristling with weapons. Its glowing eyes scanned for movement, sensing vibrations in the stone. Most species would have retreated at the sight, but the humans simply paused, assessed, and prepared. Hayes gestured to two members of his team, Mara and Jin, engineers specialized in combat repairs and traps. With precise movements, they placed small devices across the cavern floor. These devices emitted pulses that interfered with the machine's sensors. At the same time, another human, Luca, moved forward with a makeshift weapon, carefully distracting the machine without engaging directly. The aliens watched, astonished. The humans' actions were methodical yet fluid, a blend of intelligence and instinct. Each member knew exactly when to move, when to attack, and when to wait. Finally, the trap was set. Hayes gave the signal. The machine lunged forward, but the humans had already anticipated its every move. Pulses disrupted its sensors, and its massive limbs crashed into walls and floors it had thought stable. Meanwhile, Mara and Jin activated another device that caused the cavern ceiling to shift, forcing the machine into a tight corner. In a coordinated strike, the humans disabled it, dismantling the enormous machine piece by piece. On the Celestial Harmony, the alien crew could hardly believe what they were witnessing. Errol whispered, "It's not just strength. It's strategy, creativity, and fearlessness. They are unstoppable." Hayes' team did not pause to celebrate. The tunnels were still alive with danger. Their sensors detected movement deeper within the network. A swarm of smaller, faster machines was approaching, moving with intelligence and coordination that was almost frightening. "Split and distract," Hayes ordered. "Draw them out. Use the environment. Protect the colonists at all costs." The humans executed his command flawlessly. One group ran through a side tunnel, luring the machines into traps. Another moved behind enemy lines, disabling critical power sources. Smoke, fire, and sparks illuminated the tunnels as the humans fought. The aliens watching were struck by the humans' calmness. Not a single member panicked, even as the swarm pressed closer. In one narrow corridor, a young human named Rena lifted a piece of fallen metal to shield a trapped colonist. A drone swooped down from above, its claws extended. With quick thinking, Rena used a flare to blind the drone, then smashed its sensors with a metal rod. She did not hesitate. She did not pause. She only moved forward, ensuring the colonist could escape. "Remarkable," Orali murmured. "They improvise in ways we cannot even imagine." The humans' ingenuity reached a new level when they discovered a chamber filled with control panels. This was clearly the core of the underground machine network. Normally, aliens would have avoided it, fearing a trap, but Hayes smiled. "Perfect," he said. "This is our advantage." The team carefully set charges and devices to disable the network, but with one goal: minimal damage to the tunnels, ensuring the colonists could still escape safely. Mara, Jin, and Luca worked together, moving swiftly while the others guarded the entrances. Every human action was synchronized, a dance of precision under extreme pressure. Then came the unexpected. The machines reacted. Somehow they adapted faster than anticipated. Smaller drones swarmed toward the humans, attempting to protect the control chamber. The humans split into new formations, each member using the environment to their advantage. They ducked behind pillars, slid under pipes, and jumped across gaps. Their movement was almost artistic, a blend of agility, intelligence, and instinct that stunned the aliens observing from orbit. Hayes took a deep breath. He knew this moment would define the mission. "Focus," he said quietly. "Keep calm. Protect the colonists. We finish this now." The humans charged together, striking in perfect coordination. Rena triggered a magnetic pulse that disabled multiple drones at once. Luca fired a specialized energy net, capturing others without damaging them. Mara and Jin moved behind the main control panel, inserting devices that began shutting down the core machinery. The cavern shook as the machines resisted. Sparks flew, and debris fell from the ceiling. Some alien observers gasped, believing the humans might fail. But Hayes' team did not stop. They adapted to each new obstacle, moving faster and smarter than the machines could respond. Finally, the core systems began to fail. The machines faltered, their movements jerky and uncoordinated. The humans pressed forward, dismantling the remaining threats one by one. Smoke and dust filled the air, yet the team remained focused, calm, and relentless. When the last machine fell silent, a cheer echoed softly through the tunnels. The humans had won, not by sheer strength alone, but by courage, intelligence, and unyielding determination. Hayes surveyed the chamber. "Good work," he said. "We've cleared the way. The colonists can now escape safely." The aliens on the Celestial Harmony stared in awe. For hours they had witnessed a species they barely understood, taking on impossible odds and succeeding. They realized that humans were not just fighters or survivors. They were problem solvers, innovators, and fearless protectors. Saran spoke quietly to Orali. "They are more than legends. They are the living proof of what Deathworlders are capable of. I believe this will change how the galaxy sees them." Orali nodded slowly, her eyes still glued to the view screen. "Yes, they do not fear danger. They do not hesitate, and yet, they fight not for glory but for others. That is the part I cannot forget." Meanwhile, the rescued colonists moved carefully through the tunnels, following the humans' guidance. Children held hands with their parents, miners supported each other, and even some alien workers cautiously followed behind, learning from the humans' example. In the shadows, Hayes' team paused briefly. No one smiled or celebrated. They checked equipment, treated minor injuries, and prepared to move on. They knew the mission was far from over. More challenges awaited them deeper within Valkar's underground network. Yet even in the darkness, even under pressure, the humans' eyes held a spark of determination that refused to fade. The aliens above whispered among themselves, realizing that humans were not just exceptional because of their strength or weapons. They were exceptional because of their courage, their adaptability, and their unbreakable spirit. Every move, every decision, every risk taken by the humans seemed to defy the odds of survival. And for the first time, many aliens truly understood why humans were called Deathworlders. They were not just survivors. They were unstoppable. The deeper the humans went into Valkar, the darker and more dangerous it became. The tunnels grew wider, but jagged rocks threatened to collapse at any moment. Sparks flew from broken machines, and the faint hum of energy pulsed through the stone walls. The air was heavy with heat and smoke, yet the Deathworlders moved forward without hesitation. Commander Hayes led his team through a narrow corridor, stopping briefly to scan the walls. Sensors detected massive structures ahead, massive machines built to defend the planet's underground core. Their movements were deliberate, their sensors bright red in the dim light. Hayes knew this was the real test. The challenge ahead would push his team to their limits. "Everyone ready?" he asked quietly. No one hesitated. Each member nodded, checking weapons, tools, and armor. They stepped into the vast cavern. The walls were lined with enormous machinery, each machine more terrifying than the last. Towers of steel with multiple limbs patrolled methodically. Some hovered, others crawled, and all seemed to anticipate movement before it happened. The humans could have chosen to wait and plan, but Hayes shook his head. "We fight forward. Hesitation is weakness. The aliens observing from orbit on the celestial harmony leaned forward, their eyes wide. Even they could sense the danger. "If they fail here," whispered Orali, "everything we've seen so far will be wasted." The humans moved in formations designed to confuse the enemy. Smoke grenades, magnetic pulses, and energy nets became tools of distraction. Yet even as they fought, the humans showed care for each other. Whenever one was injured or trapped, another immediately assisted. Coordination and trust were absolute, a bond forged through countless missions and experiences in dangerous worlds. A massive machine turned its glowing eyes toward the humans. Its limbs slammed into the floor, sending sparks and small debris flying. The aliens gasped. Its size dwarfed anything seen before, and its strength could have destroyed half a colony in seconds. Yet Hayes did not flinch. He raised his hand, signaling his team. "Divide and control," he ordered. "Keep it busy. I'll get to the core." Two members of the team, Luca and Mara, sprinted toward the machine from opposite sides, drawing its attention. It swung its massive arms, striking rocks that exploded in showers of sparks. The humans dodged, ducked, and moved with incredible agility. Every action was timed perfectly. Hayes led the others toward a central control area. If they could disable the core, the machines in the cavern would become disorganized and easier to handle. The aliens watching were tense, unsure if anyone could survive the approach. Inside the control chamber, the humans quickly assessed the situation. Panels and screens glowed with alien symbols. Energy conduits hummed with power. Hayes studied the setup for only a moment before directing his engineers. "Jin, Rena, place the interference devices. Mara, cover them. Luca and I will distract anything that moves." The humans executed their plan flawlessly. Sparks flew, machines roared, and alarms blared, yet each member moved with confidence. Even when one machine broke through a sidewall, Rena reacted instantly, tossing a pulse grenade that disabled it for a few precious seconds. Time seemed to stretch. Every second was filled with danger. The humans pressed forward, dismantling systems, shutting down energy lines, and disabling traps one by one. The cavern shook as the machines fought back, their movements becoming more aggressive and unpredictable. Above, the aliens on the celestial harmony could only watch, frozen by awe and fear. "They are fearless," said Errol, feathers bristling. "No species could do this." Yet they continue, calm, precise, and unbroken. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the chamber. Rocks fell from the ceiling and a secondary system of machines activated. The humans were momentarily separated. Some were pushed to the edges of the room. Others scrambled behind metal structures for cover. Hayes shouted orders. "Stay calm. Reform. Focus." In perfect synchronization, the team reassembled. Rena and Mara continued to operate the devices. Jin repaired a broken conduit mid-battle, and Luca took point, drawing the attention of two massive machines. Hayes moved to the core, his hand steady as he activated the final shutdown sequence. Sparks danced across his fingers, and alarms blared one last time before a deep silence fell over the cavern. The machines halted, their glowing eyes flickering and then dimming. The massive robot that had dominated the room collapsed slowly, sending a shower of sparks and dust across the floor. The smaller machines froze and then powered down. The humans exhaled not with relief but with quiet determination. They were far from finished. The colonists still needed to be guided out of the tunnels, and the underground network was fragile. Any sudden collapse could trap them all. Hayes looked around. His team had suffered minor injuries, scratches and bruises, but nothing life-threatening. The colonists, meanwhile, were huddled behind protective cover, staring in awe at their rescuers. Some whispered words of gratitude, others simply stared, unable to speak. From orbit, Saran and the other aliens finally exhaled. "I cannot believe it," Orali said, voice trembling. "They faced the impossible, and they succeeded." Hayes turned to his team. "We are not done. Follow me. We bring everyone out safely. Every life counts." The humans moved with steady precision, guiding colonists through the tunnels. They worked as a single unit, each member anticipating the other's actions. Even when small cave-ins threatened to block paths, they used tools, explosives, and sheer strength to clear the way. The aliens watching realized that no challenge seemed capable of breaking the humans' focus or spirit. Hours passed, but the humans did not tire. They made constant adjustments, checked every route, and ensured that everyone was safe. The colonists began to walk more confidently, guided by the calm assurance of the Deathworlders. At one point, a bridge inside a cavern started to collapse under the weight of debris. One human dashed across first, throwing support cables to the others. Another carried a frightened child across while two more ensured the remaining colonists followed safely. Every move was calculated, every action deliberate, every risk taken with courage and care. Finally, the last colonist reached safety. The humans stepped back, surveying the underground tunnels one final time. The machinery was disabled, the colonists were safe, and the tunnels were stable enough for others to exit. From orbit, the aliens could hardly believe what they had witnessed. A species they had long underestimated had not only survived an environment designed to kill them, but had also protected others, outsmarted advanced machines, and maintained composure under unimaginable pressure. Saran finally spoke aloud, voice filled with quiet awe. These humans, they are extraordinary. Not just their skill, but their courage, their care for others, and their determination. This is what makes them truly special. Orali nodded, her eyes wide and sparkling. They are not merely survivors. They are protectors, innovators, and heroes. This is why Deathworlders are feared and respected throughout the galaxy. Hayes gathered his team one last time. We did what had to be done. Now we make sure everyone gets out safely. That is our mission. That is what we do. As they began the journey back to the surface, the humans walked among the colonists, offering reassurance, sharing supplies, and checking for injuries. Even in victory, their focus remained on others, never on themselves. The aliens on the Celestial Harmony remained silent, overwhelmed by the display of human determination. They had expected bravery, perhaps, but what they witnessed was something far greater. A combination of courage, intelligence, and an unbreakable will that defied understanding. For the first time, many of them realized that humans were not merely a dangerous or unusual species. They were the benchmark by which all other life would be measured. And as the humans led the colonists toward safety, every alien observer understood the truth. Deathworlders were unstoppable because they did not fight for glory. They fought for survival, for others, and for what was right. That, more than any weapon, was the force that made them a species unlike any other. The first light of Valkar's twin suns crept across the horizon as the humans led the colonists toward the surface. The tunnels behind them, once filled with chaos, smoke, and danger, were now eerily silent. Machines lay disabled, sparks flickered from broken circuits, and dust drifted like a gentle fog in the morning air. Every step the humans took was steady, calm, and purposeful. They had survived the underground nightmare and ensured the colonists would survive too. Commander Hayes walked at the front, his eyes scanning the horizon. Even though the immediate danger had passed, he knew this moment demanded vigilance. There could still be hidden machines, collapsing tunnels, or weak points in the terrain. But for now, he allowed himself a small measure of satisfaction. Behind him, his team moved as one. Rena carried supplies for the colonists. Mara helped a young child walk over uneven rocks. Luca guided a group of miners through a tricky section, and Jin checked everyone's equipment. Each action was small but precise, each movement considerate of the lives they were protecting. Above them, the Celestial Harmony hovered silently. The alien crew had been watching the entire operation, hearts pounding with awe. Captain Saran leaned forward, resting his hands on the observation deck rail. His eyes were wide, not with fear but with respect. "They are extraordinary," he whispered to Orali. "Every story we heard, every rumor, they were not exaggerations. Humans are unlike any other species we have ever seen." Orali, the glass-skinned scholar, nodded slowly. "It is not just their strength or skill. It is their heart. They face danger not for themselves but for others. They do not hesitate, they do not falter. That is the part no scanner, no study, no report could ever measure." Back on the surface, the humans guided the last group of colonists out of the tunnels. The survivors were tired, covered in soot and dust, yet their faces showed relief and gratitude. Many fell to their knees, hugging the Deathworlders who had risked everything to save them. Some children clung to Rena, looking up at her eyes filled with warmth and reassurance. Hayes crouched beside the first colonist he had rescued hours ago. The man, a miner named Talrin, looked at Hayes with tears in his eyes. I thought we were finished. I thought there was no hope," Talrin said, voice trembling. "But you saved us." Hayes shook his head gently. "We did what anyone would do. We protect life whenever we can. That is what we do." Even as he spoke, the humans did not stop moving. They checked for injuries, distributed food and water, and reassured frightened colonists. Every action reflected discipline, care, and an unshakable commitment to others. The aliens watching from orbit began to murmur among themselves. "They are more than fighters," whispered Errol, his feathers bristling. "They are teachers, guardians, even leaders. And yet they do it naturally, without expecting anything in return." As the colonists settled in a safe area, Hayes's team took a moment to observe the planet from the surface. The sky, painted in shades of orange and gold, was calm. Smoke from the destroyed colonies still rose in thin streams, but it no longer carried the sense of imminent danger. Valkar was scarred but alive, and so were its people. One of the colonists, an older human woman named Sira, approached Hayes. She looked around at the Deathworlders with wide eyes. "I have lived on this planet for 20 years, she said. "I have faced storms, earthquakes, and wild creatures. But I have never seen courage like yours. You are something else." Hayes smiled faintly. "We do what is necessary. That is all." Even as he spoke, he could feel the eyes of the alien observers above. He knew they were watching not just the humans' actions, but the meaning behind them, the way humans faced danger, the way they cared for others, the way they refused to give in to fear. And that meaning, that spark, was something every alien would remember. Later, the humans gathered briefly to rest. No one boasted, no one celebrated with loud words. Instead, they simply checked each other's injuries, shared a sip of water, and ensured the colonists were safe. Their calmness after such an intense battle was as striking as their courage during it. From orbit, Saran spoke again, voice soft but firm. "I have watched thousands of species in combat, in survival, and in exploration. None have faced such overwhelming odds and emerged with so many lives saved. None have acted with such bravery, intelligence, and humanity." Orali's eyes glimmered as she added, "This is why the galaxy fears humans, and this is why we must respect them. They are not simply strong, they are unstoppable because of their spirit. Because they fight for life itself." The humans began helping the colonists rebuild. They taught them how to reinforce tunnels, repair machinery, and create safe paths for travel. They shared knowledge and strategies, ensuring the colony would be better prepared for the future. Even as they worked, their focus was not on recognition or reward. It was on ensuring survival, on protecting others, and on improving the lives of those around them. A small alien delegation finally landed on the surface to meet the humans. They were cautious, unsure of what to expect, but as they observed the humans interacting with the colonists, their fears melted into admiration. These were beings who had faced impossible machines, dangerous terrain, and countless risks, and yet they moved with compassion, intelligence, and precision. Saran stepped forward, extending a long-scaled hand. Hayes shook it firmly. "You have done what no one else could," Saran said. "We have seen your courage, your skill, and your care for others. The galaxy will remember this day." Hayes nodded simply. "We do what is necessary. That is all." Even as the humans helped, they were already preparing for the next challenge. Their mission was never about glory. It was about protecting life, overcoming danger, and doing what others could not. The aliens realized that this attitude, more than any weapon, more than any skill, was what made humans unique. The colonists began to rebuild with the humans' guidance. Small structures were reinforced, tunnels stabilized, and energy sources repaired. Children ran safely among adults. Miners repaired broken tools, and humans moved among them, quietly teaching and helping. The aliens watching could see the difference. These humans did not just survive. They inspired others to survive, to fight, and to protect. As night fell, the twin suns of Valkar dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the rebuilt colony. The humans stood together for a moment, observing their work. They were tired, but not defeated. Their eyes shone with quiet determination, a reflection of the spirit that had carried them through impossible odds. Captain Saran spoke once more, addressing the alien crew. "We came here expecting to assist, to observe. Instead, we witnessed something far greater. Humans are not just survivors. They are leaders, protectors, and heroes. Their courage is unmatched, and their will, unstoppable," Orali added softly. "We must remember this. Every species that underestimates humans will learn the same lesson. They are not defined by their weapons, their size, or their numbers. They are defined by their heart, their determination, and their refusal to give up." Commander Hayes gathered his team, ready to leave Valkar. The colonists waved. faces filled with gratitude and admiration. The humans nodded, offering quiet reassurance that they would always do what was necessary to protect life. As the drop pods lifted from the surface, the humans looked down at the planet they had saved. Valkar was scarred but alive. Its people were safe. And somewhere in the hearts of every alien watching, the truth became clear. Humans were more than a species. They were a force of nature, unstoppable, unbreakable, and unforgettable. And so, the galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. Never doubt the courage, ingenuity, and heart of Deathworlders, for they did not fight for glory. They fought for survival, for others, for life itself. And in that moment, the aliens knew without question that humans were truly remarkable.